Okay, so we're going to talk about this news that happened with North Korea a couple hours ago, where North Korea they claim now that they have a hydrogen bomb. That's one claim. That's a working hydrogen bomb. And the second claim is that it's small enough for them to be able to put on an ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile, that could reach the United States. So, two different claims there it's important to keep apart. First of all, hydrogen bombs, by the way, are much more powerful than, I guess you could call them fission bombs. So the original bombs that originally, when nuclear weapons were first invented, the first bombs were fission bombs. And the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were these fission bombs. And I want to say the yields of those weapons might have been around 15, 20 kilotons. I mean, it'd be easy if there's a thing called the internet, which would let me look it up. Nagasaki yield. Let's see. Yeah, so Nagasaki was about 20 kilotons, and Hiroshima was about 15 kilotons. Those are fission bombs. But after fission bombs were invented, there was a new technology invented called fusion bombs. And fusion bomb, thermonuclear bomb, hydrogen bomb, all mean the same thing. I mean, technically, I don't know if they, like, strictly speaking, mean the same thing, but they pick out the same thing. But that's a philosophy discussion. But roughly speaking, when people say hydrogen bomb, fusion bomb, or thermonuclear weapon, they're talking about the same thing. Those yields, those are way more powerful than fission bombs. Those are way more powerful, can be way more powerful than the bombs that hit Nagasaki and Hiroshima. We're talking about they can get into the hundreds or even thousands of kilotons, whereas remember, Hiroshima and Nagasaki were like 15 to 20 kilotons. So it's a huge difference to have a hydrogen bomb compared to a fission bomb. Now, North Korea has never tested a hydrogen nuclear weapon. They've never tested a hydrogen bomb. And they've only done 5 nuclear tests ever, where they actually explode a nuclear device. They've only done 5 of those. And the maximum yield of the most recent one, which was September of last year, I believe, the maximum yield was around 15 to 20 kilotons, which is no bigger than the fission bombs that went off in Nagasaki or Hiroshima. So they have never shown that they actually have a hydrogen bomb. But they released today some pictures, and their official news agency released a news story saying they have a hydrogen bomb. So supposedly, that picture up there, that was one of the pictures released today. Supposedly, that's their hydrogen bomb, or one of them. And we don't know if that's true or not. And I think a lot of experts are going to be studying these pictures. But one thing we might expect to happen now that they've announced this, I certainly think, lately, the last couple of years, well, in early 2016, their 4th of the 5 nuclear tests they've done, they said they tested a hydrogen bomb, but experts said it wasn't a hydrogen bomb, that the yield wasn't high enough. But, I feel like over the last year or so, they really haven't been making claims that they can't back up. So, like, they said they had an ICBM, but the experts agreed that, hey, they did test an ICBM that can hit the United States. So, I don't think it's necessarily in their interest right now, given all their testing recently, to say they have a hydrogen bomb if they don't. Now, maybe they don't. It's just, I think, on the face of it, we at least have to think it's possible they do now. But I think what we can expect, or maybe what wouldn't surprise me, is if sometime in the next couple of months we actually saw a nuclear test, like where they explode a device underground, or I guess they could explode it in the air, but some kind of test where they explode a device, and it turns out that that's a hydrogen bomb. So that would prove that they have it because they actually exploded it. So if you see on Twitter or whatever news you watch, in the next couple months, big earthquake in North Korea, think to yourself that might be a hydrogen bomb test. Because I remember last year when they would do at least one of the nuclear tests, I first heard there was an earthquake in North Korea, and it turned out that it was a nuclear test. If they do a nuclear test, it'll register as an earthquake. So there's this big claim that they've made today that they have hydrogen bombs. They have at least, I believe they said they have several. I can show you the article. But let me get to the other claim. The other claim is that not only do they have a hydrogen bomb, but they have shrunk it to where it could fit on top of an ICBM. Now, they have never, I guess, demonstrated that they can fit a nuclear missile, a nuclear weapon on top of an ICBM. But over like in the last month, there was a U.S. intelligence assessment that they do have that technology. But it's one thing to fit a nuclear weapon on an ICBM. It's another thing to fit a hydrogen bomb on an ICBM. So they could have been able to fit a nuclear weapon on an ICBM, but have it be one of the less powerful fission bombs and not a hydrogen bomb. So there's two claims going on here. One is that they've developed a hydrogen bomb. Two is that they can fit it. It's so small they can fit it onto a nuclear missile, or a long-range ICBM, intercontinental missile. So experts right now are basically trying to figure out whether this is a true claim or not. I want to show you some of the photos they put out today and give you a little more information about it. For that, I'm going to go to some of the news stories here. Here's one. By the way, new graphics. So you might notice that, Joe developed these awesome graphics and we've been using them for the briefings, but this is the first time we've used these new graphics for like one of these non-briefing news update coverage broadcasts. So I'm very excited about them. We're going to keep developing stuff here, more new stuff. If we can only get the notifications to work on YouTube. I'm subscribed to Right Side Broadcasting. As far as I'm aware, if I wasn't on this broadcast, I wouldn't know what was going on because YouTube never told me. They never told me it was happening, this broadcast. They never let me know. And what'll happen is at the end of the broadcast, I'll get a notification that says, Right Side has uploaded a video. But that doesn't help me because I wanted to see the live stream and they're supposed to tell me about that. So, if I get started on this, I'll talk for an hour about it and be so angry. Because we complained about it 2 weeks ago to them and we complained about it yesterday and they always say, we'll look into it. And then we never hear back from them. Okay, let's go to let's talk a little bit more about the specifics of today's announcement. So, North Korea claims to have developed a missile-ready hydrogen bomb. And I'm going to read you some of the quotes here from this article. There are plenty of articles. This is the New York Times one about it. North Korea said on Sunday it has developed a hydrogen bomb with super explosive power to be mounted on its ICBM. The North's official Korean Central News Agency offered no evidence for the claim other than the photos of Kim Jong-un, the country's leader, inspecting what it said was the weapon. Here's one of those photos right there. And the story continues. The report said Mr. Kim had visited the Nuclear Weapons Institute, which the news agency said had recently succeeded in a more developed nuke and in bringing about a signal turn in nuclear weaponization. The news agency said he watched an H-bomb to be loaded into a new ICBM. The news agency's photograph showed a sign saying that the bomb, if it was one, was meant for the Hwasong-14 intercontinental ballistic missile, which North Korea flight tested twice in July. Okay, we talked about some of this stuff. I'm going to go down here. On Sunday, so I guess that's today, well, it's tomorrow there already. The North Korean report said the hydrogen bomb had an explosive power adjustable from tens of kilotons to hundreds of kilotons, which would be normal for a hydrogen bomb. And again, remember, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, we're talking about only 15 to 20 kilotons. It described the weapon as a multifunctional thermonuclear nuke with a great destructive power which can be detonated even at high altitudes to launch an electromagnetic pulse or EMP attack. An EMP attack can destroy electronic devices in a vast array of enemy territory. So this is another claim they made today, that they have, not only do they have a hydrogen bomb, not only can they fit it onto an intercontinental ballistic missile, but also they know how to conduct an EMP attack with it. An EMP attack is basically when you explode a nuclear device over somewhere. You don't have it explode close to the ground. You have it explode in the air. And when it does that, it basically fries all of the electrical infrastructure and electronic devices. So basically, from the reading I've done on it, if they ever did an EMP on the U.S., like much of the U.S. would lose electricity for maybe like months. Like there's actually a good story in The Economist where they go through a couple weeks ago where they go through what would happen if there was an EMP attack, and they basically say like pretty much society would break down because people wouldn't have electricity, and it would just be like the most ridiculous thing ever, and you'd have people just like we go back to like hunter-gatherer times almost, with people just fighting each other to survive. So no evidence yet that they actually can do this, but it's interesting to me that they say this because by saying this, I think they show they're aware that that's a fear of people, so they're saying it here in their publicity statement today. Okay, let's just go through a little more of this. Fine. A hydrogen bomb is a highly sophisticated weapon capable of achieving thousands of kilotons of explosive yield. In comparison, the last and most powerful of North Korea's 5 nuclear tests, conducted in September 2016, produced an explosive yield of only 10 to 15 kilotons, about the same as the nuclear blast in Hiroshima, Japan, at the end of World War II, according to officials and analysts. So that's what's going on. Is North Korea said today they've developed this new hydrogen bomb. They know how to make it. By the way, interesting point about that picture, which I read a couple experts saying. They were saying the device in the picture has like a double bulb kind of thing, and they say that would make sense for a hydrogen bomb, because a hydrogen bomb basically, I don't know if they're all like this, but at least some of them are like this. But I think this is the general idea of the design, where you start with a fission bomb. You start with a nuclear weapon, and that explodes. And when that explodes, it compresses other stuff, and that stuff like fuses with each other. That's why it's called a fusion bomb. And when that fusion happens, all this extra energy is released. So you need, for like a hydrogen bomb designed like this, you would need like two things. You'd need a fission bomb, and you'd need the material that's going to be fused together. So this design, according to experts, would make sense for a hydrogen bomb, but just experts don't know just from the picture if that really is a hydrogen bomb or not. So we'll wait and see what the experts have to say. But as I said before, I personally think it would be very odd, given how North Korea has been behaving lately, for them to make an announcement like this and then just never follow through and like just never test a weapon like that. Now, they did make the announcement they were going to attack Guam or shoot missiles near Guam, and they didn't. But they did, it wasn't like, I feel that's a little different because they did have an excuse for not doing it. But I don't think they could say we have a hydrogen bomb and then 2 weeks later say, oh, well, by the way, we don't, without looking really bad. But people for a while now, remember their last nuclear test was about a year ago. So for many months, a lot of experts have been saying they're going to do another nuclear test soon. And any day now they could do a nuclear test where they test a device, it's like there's a big earthquake, and then it's revealed it was a nuclear test. And then this explosion is like way bigger than anything they've ever tested before. And if that happens, experts might say that's their hydrogen bomb. They just tested one. That would be kind of provocative. I do think the big provocative thing they could do, I think, of all the things I've thought of so far, that have been like on the table so far, is it feels like the big provocative thing to me that they've discussed is having a missile test where the missiles go towards Guam and land kind of near there. That would be hugely provocative. Like, I don't know if they do that, would President Trump just sit aside and just not start taking like much stronger action? Anyways, there's this other question I was hearing people talk about of like, is it possible that like American intelligence knows they do have a hydrogen bomb but just didn't want to announce it yet? Who knows? Anyways, I'd love to get your feedback on this story. Do you think this changes things for President Trump? Do you think it doesn't change anything? Do you think this is going to a place where we're going to take stronger action, maybe military action? Do you think President Trump, on the contrary, has just decided military action is too costly? We have to just live with North Korea having these weapons? What do you guys think? Write to me at Lookner on Twitter. Best place to reach me. And let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what you think. By the way, we just got a donation. That's so nice. We got a donation from 9 Fathoms. 9 Fathoms gave $9 and said, "You dropped a bomb on me, baby. Go RSBN." Thank you. I can't sing the song because if I start singing the song, it's copyright. Well, I can't play the song because it's copyrighted music. I don't think I can sing the song because that would be copyright, but YouTube automatically wouldn't catch that, but I'm not going to sing it anyway. So, but thank you, 9 Fathoms. We are viewer supported, as many of you know. So if you would like to donate and keep us on the air and have us be able to cover stories like this, cover the Trump rallies. Joe did a fantastic job today, constantly publishing different live footage of President Trump's visit to Texas. So there was some incredible footage of that visit. But Joe, throughout the day, was putting that up on the site and publishing it live, although some of you might not have heard about it because YouTube refuses to send out notifications and fix their notification problem. But you know, if you appreciate that we do that, do this kind of coverage and that kind of coverage and cover the Trump rallies and cover breaking news and cover the hurricanes, please consider making a donation because we really rely on you to stay on the air. So if you'd like to donate, you can go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate, or just go to the YouTube chat room right next to the broadcast and click on the $sign. And thank you to the moderators working hard as usual. We got Guinevere there. JC's there tonight. Webster's there. Who else is in the house? Jude is there. Nice. Very nice. And hello to everybody watching on Facebook as well as YouTube. Let me see if anyone's written in yet. I wonder. JC says, "Steve, enough is enough. Bomb the S out of all military sites and send little Kim back to mommy, whoever that B is." So JC, sounds like you want military action. Now I'll play devil's advocate here, JC. As you know, as we've talked about in previous broadcasts, the big worry if you attack North Korea is they have all this artillery and weaponry pointed at South Korea and also at our troops in South Korea because we have tens of thousands of troops there. But they could attack Seoul too, and it could just be a really bad situation if they start firing all these weapons at South Korea and at Seoul. And you know, many people could die, get hurt, panic, all of this stuff. So there is a big potential cost to attacking them, but perhaps you think the cost is worth it at this point because you don't want them to get these nuclear weapons. We just got another donation. Randy Ireland just gave $10 and said, "FYI, I do get YouTube notifications of live streams. That's why I am here. Keep up the great work." Thank you, Randy. So what's been happening is like people have been getting them, a lot of them part of the time. So out of I got like half of them today. I got some of them and not others. And the thing is, whenever I say to the chat room, "Hey, did you get a notification?" It's not really like a neutral audience because odds are if people are watching, they're among the group that got notifications. But I know for a fact that we don't get them all the time because I'm a subscriber and I frequently don't get them. So I can tell. But we're looking into it. It happened a couple weeks ago. It got better for a while. I assume we're not the only ones, but it is frustrating that it happens. But anyways, let's get back to North Korea. Thank you, JC, for writing in. Write to me. Let me know what you're thinking about this. Carl Peterson gave $5. Said, Little Kim Un is done. Fork 'em." See, Guinevere says, "I haven't gotten any notifications today." This is what's happening. It's really frustrating. Because we want people to know. People have signed up. They've said, "We want to know when you're on the air live." So we want them to know. I kind of have to look. You know, I was working with these graphics before, and I have to figure out do I like the news alert word there, or do I need to move it over to the left? It's a whole thing. So, but I'll keep working with them. But Joe did a great job setting these up. Jacqueline Vatalaro writes in, "I cannot find the ways to understand how we have 2 more months to give to this obvious threat." So it sounds like Jacqueline thinks we need to do something about it now and not let them keep developing their weapons. Only Liza gave $20, said, Steve, you are the best. Hugs and love to RSBN. Thank you, Liza. You're the best for donating because that helps us stay on the air. By the way, if you happen to be a new viewer, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, because in theory, when the notification system is working, if you subscribe and you click on the notifications bell, you will get notifications about our live streams and our news videos, although today it hasn't been working so well. But in theory, it should be working. So subscribe to us there. On Twitter, we are at RSB Network. And I am on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. If you like breaking news, follow me, because I write about breaking news a lot on Twitter. But more importantly now, if you have thoughts on what we should do about this North Korea situation, what President Trump should do or what he will do, do you think this is really a hydrogen bomb there? Do you think he's serious? Do you think they're lying, or that they really do have a hydrogen bomb? They've developed it. What do you think? Let me know on Twitter at Lookner. In response to this news, Chad Calderon says, I'm shivering, and I can't tell if he's saying that sarcastically, like, oh, I'm really scared, or if he's really shivering because he's really scared. I don't know. Soothsayer writes, and we have weapons to make sure they will never know if their unreliable weapon worked. Kim Jong-un will become nuclear fried pork skins. A. Radford writes in, if we want China to get involved in stopping North Korea's nukes, we should help Taiwan develop nukes and see how China likes it. I'm guessing they wouldn't like it very much. But thank you for writing in, A. Radford, with your suggestion. Boog Rose says, Steve, Kim Jong-un would have to have access to a synchrotron. The synchrotron is the only way to separate molecules and particles. President Ronald Reagan shut down our synchrotron in Arizona years ago, saying we couldn't spend $4 billion a year to keep it in operation. Here's a thought: has McCain gained access to this facility, putting our country at risk? So I know nothing about synchrotrons, Bugro. I couldn't know less about any of these things you're asking, so I have nothing intelligent to add. But as always, very much appreciate you writing in and giving your view. Michael Stone says, North Korea's military consists of the best 1960s Soviet Russia has to offer. Their best asset is their artillery aimed at South Korea and limited ICBMs. So, and you know, Michael, if that's true, that might be all they need as a deterrent. You know, it seems like, at least so far, the fact that they can launch a lot of artillery at South Korea and might have, you know, some, I don't, you know, well, they have intercontinental missiles. I don't know how many. Supposedly, they might not have mastered re-entry technology yet, where they haven't figured out how to make the nuclear warhead survive re-entry into the atmosphere. But they're supposedly working on that. So, but you know, even just a lot of conventional firepower that can attack Seoul and attack our troops in South Korea, that's a pretty strong deterrent. Reagan Better says North Korea has really bad aim. It could easily hit Japan. I think you mean. He says it could easily hit Japan, much less Israel. I think the idea is you're saying they couldn't hit that. Now, I don't know in terms of aim, though. I mean, they could have bad aim, but bad aim for a precision weapon could still, you know, even if it's like a mile either way, if they fire it into the middle of Japan, it's going to hit some part of Japan. So I'm not up to date on how their aiming capabilities are. Actually, I'm guessing that's like probably something very much debated in the intelligence community, because it's not like we have lots of detailed observations of their weapons to go on. So we are again having this broadcast about North Korea's announcement today that they have developed a hydrogen bomb, a thermonuclear weapon. Remember, hydrogen bombs are way more powerful than the fission nuclear bombs used in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They're crazily, crazily powerful. So if they have developed this, that is certainly worrisome. Also, as I like to say when we're talking about North Korea, I think a big worry with North Korea that's never talked about for some reason is proliferation. It's not just whether they use the weapons. If they develop nuclear weapon technology, which they have developed and they keep developing, they clearly need money over there. They're not a wealthy country. What's to keep them from selling a nuclear weapon to a terrorist organization or to Iran or some other country? So that to me is a giant worry, and I don't think it's talked about enough. Christine Bestian gave $2, said paying at the door. Thank you so much, Christine. Very much appreciated. We are Right Side Broadcasting. We are viewer supported. We can only do broadcasts because you donate. You keep us on the air. So we really appreciate that. So if you'd like to donate, even if it's small, we really appreciate it. You can go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Also, you can click the $sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat next to the broadcast. And if you're watching this on Facebook, I hope you consider sharing this video. We love when you share the video. By the way, speaking of Facebook, we had a video on Facebook. We posted a video about President Trump. I think it was when, I can't remember if it was him in the Oval Office setting up that tomorrow was going to be a National Day of Prayer, or having a prayer in the Oval Office. I can't remember what it was, but it kind of went like a little viral and has about 500,000 views on it now or something. So it's really neat that people a lot of times love sharing our videos on Facebook. So feel free to share this one. Oh, I got some emails. Unfortunately, I didn't get an email notification, but fortunately, I got some emails from you guys. Great, let's read them. Greg Jackson writes in, subject 50 kiloton. He says, I'm sure everyone has seen the old video of the bomb dropped in the little tiny Navy ships and that huge explosion in comparison. The yield of that bomb was a 50 kiloton bomb. I read an analysis of the missile launches that were considered ICBM. The conclusion was if any payload was loaded, the range wouldn't be anywhere near the ICBM range. There was also reports from South Korea that determined their missiles are made of very old technology. The only reason I know of these live videos is because of news reports. So I come here and check since I'm not on any social media. Thank you, Greg. Thank you for your perspective. So, Greg, it sounds like you're a little skeptical of how much North Korea has advanced in their missile technology and their weapons technology. Oh, and Greg also writes, subject, EMP attacks are somewhat overblown. In order to be effective, an EMP attack on a major metropolitan area would require a payload in the area of a megaton yield, which is like 1,000 kilotons. It is 1,000 kilotons. It would also have to be guided very precisely to certain altitudes to give an effective EMP. The military has done tests with EMPs, and it's not as effective as imagined. They are working on microwave blasts to achieve a tactical result. So, Greg, I do think you make a good point, which is that I knowing nothing about the technology, I am sure it is not easy to conduct an EMP attack. And even if North Korea develops the weapons and the missiles to do this, there's still the know-how to be able to conduct the attack right. So that is I wouldn't think they have the capability right now to do it, and it might be a while before they could develop it if they develop it. But it is something that we need to be concerned about, or I think we should be concerned about, because it's something that could happen. In theory. Let's see. Hold on a sec. I think we got a couple more donations I have to say thank you for. Did I miss a couple? I think I did. Jeffrey Berry gave $10. Thank you, Jeffrey. Jeffrey Berry wrote, this little inbred mouth breather likes being the big cheese, probably eats too much cheese, and must know as soon as he goes nuclear, it all goes bye-bye. Lil Kim has no intention of starting with the U.S. So now, just technically speaking, Jeffrey, and I don't think you meant this, well, maybe you didn't mean this. When you say go nuclear, I think you mean like go nuclear in a way that they can like hit the U.S. reliably with nuclear missiles. Because he does have nuclear weapons. It's just now he's developing bigger ones and missile technology and stuff. But I'm guessing by go nuclear, you mean in a way that they can hit the U.S. reliably with nuclear missiles. Thank you, Jeffrey, so much for your donation. Carl Peterson made another donation of $5, and he said, RSBN is simply the best. That's very nice of you, Carl. Thank you. Let me get to some more of your messages. Samantha Reed writes, and Mr. Lookner, you can call me Steve, it's fine. Mr. Lookner, do you think the best choice of action in regards to North Korea is simply to take out Kim Jong-un? It's so hard with North Korea because there's so little reliable intelligence on what they would do if we did certain actions. It seems like for every proposal, there's pros and cons. Like, so if we take out Kim Jong-un, what if they have somebody else who's like worse than him or just as bad in terms of being not kind of unstable and also very negative towards the U.S.? So how many leaders do you have to take out? Also, if you do that, do they start retaliating against Seoul? So, it's my opinion on this has been for years, it's unacceptable for a country like that to have nuclear weapons, both A, as a threat to us, and B, as a proliferation risk. The problem is, the longer you let that go, the more of a cost there is to forcibly stopping it. And now we're in a position where, there could be very, very big consequences of military action, very bad consequences of military action against them. I do think all options need to be on the table, though, because that regime, this is somebody who had his half-brother assassinated in an airport by having two women go up to him with like poison gas and hold it in his face. You have to be, I feel like, a little nutty as a world leader to do that kind of thing. And we honestly just don't have great intelligence about what he's like and what it's like there in North Korea. And given the uncertainty, it seems like a bad thing if that country has nuclear weapons. And it's a very poor country that, in theory, could sell them to somebody else or sell the technology to somebody else, which is really bad. So, but at the same time, I understand. So I'm not, I think military stuff has to be on the table, but I'm fully aware that there are possibly huge costs of military action. So it's hard. It's a real hard choice. And I think, honestly, for me to know exactly what I wanted to do about this, I would need to have like all the intelligence President Trump has. Like, what are the options here? How deep are their nuclear sites and nuclear bunkers and all this stuff? How much weaponry do they have exactly that they might be expected to fire off initially? There's all that stuff which I think plays into it. So it's a hard. There's no easy answers, I think, here. David Barbaro writes in, just watching your live video and you asked about being notified for live videos. The answer is you have to click on the bell to get every notification. Subscribing alone will not give you notifications for live videos. Click on the bell to get notifications for live videos. This is excellent advice, David, and I totally agree with you, and I'm glad you said that. However, the problem lately is that people like me and many of you who have clicked on the bell aren't getting all the notifications. So I didn't get one for this video, and I clicked on the bell because I got some other notifications today from Right Side Broadcasting. So that's an extra problem, but it is a good reminder that even if you subscribe, you need to click on the bell to get notifications. Thomas Schroeder writes in, subject, there better not be an EMP attack. Thomas says, hey, Steve, it's been a while. Yes, it has, Thomas. Good to hear from you. Thomas says, you've really been hitting your stride with these breaking news live streams. Thank you, Thomas. I just realized if there was an EMP attack, then we wouldn't have any power. So that would mean no more live streams with Steve, and that would be the worst thing ever. So don't even try it, Kim. Well, I think that would be the least of our worries. But we will certainly live stream and keep you guys posted as to what's going on in the North Korea situation. Keep reading your messages. Thank you for everybody writing in. Oh, good. So as often happens when we do Kim Jong-un news, I got a message from the Kim Jong-un parody account, which said, allegedly had his brothers murdered. Don't spread fake news. And he also said, surrender California immediately, and I'll think about not nuking USA. So once, we hear from Kim Jong-un parody account when we come on the air with Kim Jong-un news. He's pretty reliable in getting to us. And I think there might be some other messages here, so let me get to them. Nicholas writes, Steve, I believe North Korea is becoming more aggressive. Something has to be done. They certainly aren't modifying the pace of their testing, it seems like. And, it seems like they're just going really fast, and they're going faster than the experts thought. Experts did not think they would have an ICBM by now that could hit the U.S. Experts did not think they could miniaturize a nuclear weapon by now and put it on ICBM, and reportedly they have been able to do that, although not with a hydrogen bomb. So they've been going very fast and advancing in their technology, and they certainly seem to not really be paying attention or stopping or slowing themselves in response to sanctions and diplomatic pressure. Gator gave $10 Canadian. Thank you, Gator. Gator says, honestly, one of the best ideas to deal with the North Korea threat I've read was the mass population manipulation via media, essentially hack their airways and turn their people against their leadership. So I do know that there is propaganda that's broadcast in there, I think by South Korea, possibly by South Korea and America. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not up to date on all that stuff. But I have heard that they like send leaflets and balloons, and I'm sure they send radio signals into there and stuff like that. But it's very unclear. It's very unclear how the North Korean population thinks about their government. Some people think, well, they don't really like the government, but they're kind of scared, so they kind of go along with stuff. But other people think, no, they're like totally brainwashed and devoted. And it just makes it really hard to figure out what North Korea will do and how they'll respond in any kind of confrontation situation, because even the experts have very little information about what really goes on there and what the situation is there. Oh, I missed this donation. Thank you, Webster, for letting me know that this donation happened. How did I miss it? The Geth gave $5 and said, could South Korea and Japan stop waiting and go to war without us because we're too slow to act? Well, one, Japan does not have an offensive army. Their constitution after World War II. So before World War II, in like the, 50 years before World War II, 80 years, certainly the decades before World War II, Japan was like this imperialist power and conquering other countries and, bombing Pearl Harbor. And so after World War II, I believe we drafted their constitution, but their constitution, roughly speaking, said that they couldn't have an offensive army. Any army they had would be defensive only. So they are restricted from what kind of weaponry they can have and the kind of army they can have. And from what I was reading an article today saying the people there don't want an offensive army. So there's like this understanding that we're going to protect them, but they don't have really good offensive capability there. In terms of South Korea, I think South Korea, if anything, is, from what I've read, less desirous of military conflict than us because they think they'll bear the brunt of any kind of response from North Korea. So I think if there's action to be had, we're going to be the ones pushing it rather than, say, South Korea. Now, I could be wrong about that, but from my understanding, from what I've read, that seems that's the case. Thanks for the donation, though, the Geth. RRM writes in, what about the satellite they launched a while back that travels over the USA? They could drop an EMP from it over the USA. So I don't know much about satellites causing EMP attacks. From what I've read, the way to do it, when people write about it, they usually say, well, you explode a nuclear device over a country. But not to say satellites couldn't do it. I vaguely remember reading something that said the satellites could do it. Just the issue here is, we have no evidence that North Korea has the technology right now to do that kind of thing. Yeah, they have some nuclear weapons. I don't think they have the capability yet to fire them and have them survive reentry. Yeah, they have some satellites, I guess. I believe they have satellites, but I would assume that would be a very, very advanced thing that you'd have to practice and work on, and I would not be surprised if they totally do not have the capability to do that now. But they could be working on it. Let's see. Jasmine Ruiz says, what is this? She sent me an article, and it says, this announcement comes at an interesting time as the U.S. has recently conducted a drill preparing for a black sky event such as an EMP attack. And it's an article from True News, which says, now I don't know much about True News, so I can't speak to the accuracy of this, but it the article claims the U.S. government is preparing for a potential black sky event which could cause widespread power outages after an EMP attack. And it says, on August 23rd, FEMA and the Energy Department are sponsoring a drill dubbed Earth EX 2017, which will wargame effective responses to aftermath of to an incident which has taken America back to the Stone Age technologically. So I have read stories about that the military does and the government does think about this possibility and does spend some effort preparing for it. But I believe that's like an ongoing kind of thing. And The Economist had a very good article. I should post it or something on my Twitter, but I mean, I think I actually did post it several weeks ago, where they talked about EMP attacks. And they actually thought that the American government wasn't doing enough to like plan for these kind of things because it was such a bad thing if it actually happened. But you know, it certainly seems like a terror. If it ever happens, it's like the worst thing ever, basically. Thanks, Jasmine, for writing in. I think I have some more messages here that I missed. Let's see. JC says, Steve, thank you for your awesome work. You're welcome, JC. Thank you for all the to you and all the moderators in the chat room. JC says, why are we as the world superpower putting up with this North Korea crap? Like the president said, talking will not work, and we have been dealing with this for decades. It's time we put our boot up there, A. So a question I have, you know, I could see President Trump or anybody else saying, we just can't militarily attack them because there's too much risk to doing so. I guess an issue, though, is given what President Trump has said, like, we're not going to let them get capability to be able to hit the U.S. with nuclear missiles. And he said, like, you know, he's given strong warnings to North Korea. It might be a bit odd if we just never do really anything strong and they keep going and developing all their technology. I mean, it would sort of seem like what would President Trump say then? I guess my question would be, because he's put some very strong language out there. So what happens if they just keep developing their weapons and making new and stronger weapons and missiles that can go farther? Will President Trump, like, it doesn't seem much like President Trump to me to just accept that, but on the other hand, he might think that military action is too costly. So I'm interested in seeing what happens. You're watching Right Side Broadcasting, by the way, our live stream, our news alert live stream that North Korea says it has developed an H-bomb, a hydrogen bomb, way more powerful than that could be way more powerful than the Nagasaki and, you know, Hiroshima bombs, because they weren't H-bombs. And they've developed the technology to put it on they've miniaturized it enough to put it on a nuclear warhead. They released some photos today, like that one. I should show you some of the other photos. That's what I should do. There's several photos. Let's see if I can find them. Here we go. I found them. Hooray. So B&O News showed a bunch of them. Here, it's from B&O News. I think I need to make this window a little smaller here on the top right. I don't know. I'm working with this. It's kind of a new layout with the new graphics, so I'll keep working with it. Anyways, here are the photos. Here's one. We'll get rid of the graphics for a second. And here's another one. And here's a third one. So those are the photos. I should do a quick check and see if there are any kind of, you know, I follow a bunch of people on Twitter who are like missile experts, because I want to see what they say when this kind of thing happens, and I just want to see. Now, Melissa Hanham, who's a missile expert, she writes about North Korea a lot. She said, oops, let me show you what she said. The bottom line is that they are probably going to do a thermonuclear test in the future. We won't know if it's this object, though. So she thinks they're going to do a test of an H-bomb in the future. What else here? Oh, they also said, I found this interesting. Steve Herman reported they also said all components of the H-bomb were homemade. And I was wondering if this was in response. There was a story in the New York Times a couple weeks ago that claimed that they had gotten some of their technology from Ukraine. And then I heard some doubts raised about that story. But at the same time, perhaps they want to take credit for this new technology. They don't want to be seen. They want to be seen as someone who developed this themselves. So I don't know if this is true or not, even if they have an H-bomb. But they're making this claim. So you're watching our live coverage here. I would love to hear from you what you think is going to happen in this situation. Do you think President Trump will take stronger action? Do you think he'll just kind of let this keep happening and think, I can't really have military action against North Korea because the costs are too big? What do you think will happen with this? Where do you think this is going? Let me know. At Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner. What do you think should happen? Oh, President Trump just tweeted, by the way. 6 minutes ago, he said this. Remember, Sunday is National Prayer Day by presidential proclamation. So that was just sent out by President Trump 6 minutes ago. And 12 minutes ago, just to update you, he sent out this. Oh, that wasn't it. It was not that. I saw it here. Here it is. He didn't say holy hell. He said, just got back to the United States from the great states of Texas and Louisiana, where things are going well, such cooperation and coordination. And now look, as I've been saying, and I said the experts are saying, here's Jeffrey Lewis. He's another nuclear weapons expert, and he says, the moral of the story is this: do not be surprised when North Korea tests a staged thermonuclear weapon. So, a lot of people are just thinking that well, let me just make sure the stream is going okay. I see no issues with the stream, so I just want to see. A lot of people think that this announcement today that they have developed a hydrogen bomb, it's kind of like a heads up because they're going to do a test of it very soon. That's what some people think. So Jeffrey Lewis thinks this. He thinks they're going to test one soon. And let me check one thing here real quick. Okay. So if you have any thoughts, write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. And also, don't forget, if you like Right Side Broadcasting's videos, if you like videos like this, subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell. Then, when it's not like today and the notifications actually were at work, which is most of the time, you will get a notification right when we go on the air with our breaking news videos, which can come at any time, even on Saturday night, as tonight shows. And follow us on Twitter at RSB Network, and you can follow me on Twitter at Lookner. And we're on Facebook too at Right Side Broadcasting. Timothy Fyock says Trump won't allow them to have perfected nukes because if the DPRK, i.e. North Korea, has them, they will give them to Iran. So you like me are concerned with them giving the nukes to somebody else. Brian N says, hi Steve, notice that Saddam Hussein was taken out for less threat than Kim Jong-un? North Korea shows off their WMDs, Iraq did not. I actually, Brian, about a couple months ago, posted a very similar couple of tweets which said basically this, which said, we were so concerned with WMDs like chemical weapons, and yet now somebody has nuclear weapons and they could spread them, but it doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. Stephanie Messenger says, interesting that North Korea keeps showing us what missiles they have. They do like to show us. They're not keeping it a secret. They like to show us. And someone might say, well, that's because they want it to be a deterrent. They don't want to be attacked, and they want us to know what they have. RRM says, I already read that one. Reagan Better says, massive fire in Oregon with evacuations. But Reagan Better, you didn't even send me a link. You sent me no link. So now I have to go look myself. I can't remember. So before my head's in front of that. That's where I want it to be. See, I think my head used to be behind it, and in the new way I set it up, my head's in front of the photo. Do you mean the Oregon wildfire? There is supposedly wildfires going on in Oregon right now. So I'll look it up about this. I see some mention of it on the line, so I'll look it up. As soon as the stream is over, I will check it out. Timothy Fayok says, you pronounced my name right. I'm impressed. Well, it was a guess. So this time I got it right. World According to S sent me a message saying that the North Korea claimed all components are made in North Korea. Hey, we are. You must have missed the beginning of the stream because we already talked about that. But thanks for writing in. Timothy adds, Iran will use nukes because they believe they have to start their version of Revelations. That's according to Timothy Fayok. Matt Arnold says, maybe North Korea will blow themselves up, then problem solved. Oh, I missed a donation. Thank you, Webster. Jeffrey Berry gave $5. Again, I think Jeffrey Berry has given it before today, or early in the broadcast, but he gave $5 and he said, I think Little Kim is played out. It's time to start calling him Cupcake Kim. Thank you so much, Jeffrey Berry. Very nice of you. We're viewer supported. We can only be on the air doing these reports because you have donated in the past. So if you'd like to see us keep doing coverage, if you like our coverage, please consider making a donation by going to rsbn.tv/donate. rsbn.tv/donate. Or you can just click on the $sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, which is right next to the broadcast. And if you go to rsbn.tv/donate, one of the options you can read about is our Patreon page, where you can get free stuff like this mug in exchange for making a monthly donation. So to read about that, go to rsbn.tv/donate. Old Guy 1947 says, I hope North Korea's little leader tests the H-bomb in his living room. P. Tudsbury sent me a story from the Daily Caller saying State Department exposes the atrocities of North Korea's brutal prison camps. I have heard numerous reports that they have very brutal prison camps there. They've had a number of people have left North Korea and claimed that to have stories of the really, really, really bad camps there. Oh, another message from Kim Jong-un parody account who says, South Korea, aka Worst Korea, is American propaganda. There's only one Korea, and mercenary Yankee rebel in the South has no support of North Korean people. They all tell me they love me. That's from Kim Jong-un parody account. Brian N. says, what are your thoughts about September 23rd, 2017? Is this a date I'm supposed to just know what it is right as soon as I read it? Oh, I guess it says, a supposed event of great prophetic significance. It's something involving the apocalypse. Where did this come from? I'm reading about it. Supposedly some people think this is going to be like a very important apocalyptic day. I know nothing about this, September 23rd, 2017. I hope it isn't. I hope nothing bad happens. All right, we're going to be on a little while longer here covering this, but if you have any comments you want to get in about what do you think is going to happen in North Korea, what you'd like to happen, what you'd not like to happen, give me a shout on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner, and let me know so I can read your comment on the air. And we will definitely be coming on the air if there's breaking news later this weekend. It is Saturday, right? Yeah, so I guess we have Sunday. I'm so confused. Glendale Ryan says, I think North Korea hasn't been attacked yet because the leader has a whole country of hostages. Many would commit suicide, in my opinion. I often wonder, by the way, I wonder how much does President Trump know in the sense of like when he gets his meetings, are they like, well, here's what we think's going on, but we don't know a lot? Or are they like, no, we know everything that's going on there? I honestly have no idea. I have no idea like how much information we have about them. You know. Let's see. Aaron says, can't we just sabotage their nuke tech and widen a radioactive DMT by the whole North Korea, China, and SK still keep a barrier? So let me talk about the first part of what you said. From what I have heard, I've read this, that we very well may be trying to use cyber attacks on their nuclear weapons and their nuclear program. As to whether we're going to increase that kind of thing or not, there is a reluctance sometimes to use really powerful cyber weapons because A, those really haven't been used, and B, you don't want to give up your technology and show what you have. But, the Stuxnet virus, the one that reportedly Israel and the United States created to attack centrifuges in Iranian nuclear plants, United States and Israel still deny to this day that it had anything to do with them because it's seen as such a big deal to be like a state using cyber weapons. So I'm guessing it's considered. I don't know the facts about what the weapons we have and how effective they would be, and so I'm guessing it's something that's on the table though. Sam Miller says, I didn't get a notification for this video. I didn't either, Sam. Thanks for letting me know. I just happened to check Twitter and saw your post. I missed the first half of the show. Alerts don't always work, and they've been very bad the last couple days. I've missed about half the alerts myself, and I'm a subscriber. Julie Wendell says, North Korea has not proven they have an ICBM, let alone a warhead to go on it. The USA will practice tough love if they try, from a Navy brat. So now, Julie, a lot of experts think that the test on July 4th, a lot of experts think that test, and there was a subsequent test, showed that they do have missiles that can reach the United States. I would say the consensus among experts is that they now have ICBMs. Now, experts don't think that they've mastered the technology to get nuclear warhead on an ICBM to survive re-entry through the atmosphere. So they don't think they can hit us yet with a nuclear missile that has a warhead on it that it will survive re-entry. Now, maybe you think the experts are wrong, which is totally up to you whether to think. I'm just saying, to me, that seems to be the consensus about them right now. But it's very recent. 9 Fathoms gave $2, give another donation. Thank you, 9 Fathoms. And 9 Fathoms says, come on, y'all, donate some pocket change to RSBN from G. Thank you, 9 Fathoms, very much. Very kind of you. I'm wondering, it's a little off topic, I'm wondering though, because President Trump has been doing a bunch of rallies lately, will maybe he announce a rally sometime soon because he's going to be away, he's going to be back from vacation. Maybe he'll want to, I've heard he wants to go out and talk about like his tax reform plan. Maybe he'll do it at a rally sometime. Reagan Better, you sent me a link to the fire. Thank you, Reagan Better. I'll look at that afterwards. Appreciate it. Ronier Huber says, Japan will be a force again. They've had enough now. They've always been warriors, and in the case of technology, don't worry about Japan. So you think they're going to start expanding their offensive capability of their armed forces. Old Guy says, if little Kim keeps getting so close to his bombs, he's going to die from radioactive poisoning anyway. Let me do a little quick check here just to see if there are any updates news-wise about this. I haven't seen anything in the last few minutes. So anyways, well, we'll keep you updated on this. As we've been talking about, a lot of experts expect them to do a nuclear test sometime soon. If they do a nuclear test, if they do test a hydrogen bomb, so they have a giant explosion and we determine it was a hydrogen bomb, that's a really big deal. I don't know, would that push President Trump to like take different action? I certainly think if they did a missile test where they launched the missiles near Guam, President Trump would do something. If they test a hydrogen bomb, would President Trump do something? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that rises to that level. So now you could get all into strategies of like, do they want us to do something? Do they want some sort of limited American attack for some reason? Maybe to split America from South Korea or something, or to get China on their side. I don't know. So there's all kinds of like game theory stuff where you could think about, well, what are they trying to do by this? And that's a whole other thing. So, but it's interesting to think about when you try to strategize as to why they're doing what they're doing, and why could they in theory shoot weapons at that land, do a missile test with missiles land near Guam, because they think it'll ultimately help them. Because they certainly don't seem to be slowing up their provocative actions. Although someone might say, well, they haven't done the missile test near Guam yet. Matt Arnold said, since YouTube did their update the last few days, it disabled the notification. So I've been getting a couple the last few days, but perhaps there was something with the YouTube update that messed things up. So I did notice this. When YouTube did this big update, and I know they updated the look of YouTube definitely a couple days ago, but right after that, we did a video. The first video we did after that, like there were 4 or 5 times, I know some of you were watching it, where a black YouTube logo just came up on the screen, and it was very odd to see that. So and it like interrupted our broadcast, and I'd never seen that before. So perhaps something with the update messed some stuff up, and they're trying to fix it. A. Radford says, we should fix the guy up to look like Kim Il-sung and have him walk around North Korea and denounce Kim Jong-un as a traitor. Kim Il-sung is the father. Well, Kim Il-sung was the grandfather, I believe, of Kim Jong-un and the founder of North Korea, the modern state of North Korea. Okay, we'll read one more from Kim Jong-un parody account. He says, unlike Orange Man, I won the popular vote. Tired of dealing with illegitimate presidents. And he sent me a link to an article that claims Kim Jong-un wins 100% of the vote. I'd have to read the article to know what it's talking about and whether it's an accurate article. All right, I think right now, we're going to wrap this up. But I really appreciate all of your feedback and your input during this stream and all of your contributions. Remember, you keep us on the air, so if you want to see more coverage of news stories, breaking news, live broadcast, live events like President Trump rallies, we're definitely keeping an eye on that hurricane. If that hurricane, obviously, if it hits the U.S., we're going to cover it. But even if it goes to the Caribbean first, I really would like to cover it if I can find some footage of it. So I'll keep an eye out on that. We'll keep an eye out on that for you. But we love covering all this stuff. But it does cost some money, so we really appreciate the donations. Like Alexander Swirenga. Alexander Swirenga just donated $2. Thank you, Alexander. That helps keep us on the air. So if you'd like to donate, go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate, or you can click in the YouTube chat next to the broadcast on the $sign at the bottom of the chat. I want to thank the moderators for moderating the chat, as usual, and Joe for helping with these graphics. I like these new graphics. These are good. But again, this is the first time we've used these new graphics, not on an event like a White House press briefing, when we're just doing a news broadcast, but we're using these new graphics. I really like how they look. And then we have you'll see we have the end screen too. The end screen's all fancy now. So nice job, Joe. And Matt Arnold says, thanks, Steve, all you do. Thanks again. You're welcome, Matt. Thank you. Reagan Better says 140 people are trapped in the Oregon fire. I will go look at it after the broadcast. Thank you, Reagan Better. And who else did I want to say thanks to? The moderators, the viewers, the people who donated. Thank you so much, everybody who donated. That's really nice of you. And everybody who wrote in. So we'll be back this weekend if there's breaking news, as always. So subscribe to us on YouTube. Don't forget, and click the notifications bell, because I do think they eventually will fix the notifications issue. I hope. And follow us on Twitter at RSB Network. I will be posting about breaking news all weekend, as I always do. So follow me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner, if you like breaking news. A couple more comments quickly. Old Guy 1947 says, I very much doubt North Korea can aim their missiles to hit Guam. They may hit China. But I'm guessing they could get it like roughly near Guam, maybe, if they want to just do a missile test, maybe. Julie Wendell says, I realize some have said they have an ICBM now, looking for a place to do journalism for. Let me know if y'all would like a freelancer. So right now, we're keeping it kind of small because, first of all, we have no extra money. That's big point number one. That's really the big point number one. But second of all, it's like we're so busy right now just trying to develop the network. So in the future, if and when we grow more, which we would love to, that is certainly something we will look into. But for right now, for these various reasons, we're just trying to keep it as simple as possible and spend as little money as possible. But thank you for writing in and offering. And several people have written in and offered. So my head should be in front of this right now, right? My head shouldn't go behind the photo. It's funny, I think I just switched that. I think before, it was always that the photo would be in front of my head. But like on a news broadcast, if somebody leans over accidentally, they're in front of the photo, right? Okay, I think that looks better. Okay, I'm gonna sign off now. Let's see, I'm looking quickly at the chat. And hello to everybody in the chat. You're welcome, Teresa, in the chat. You're welcome, Light Switch. You're welcome, Colin. A bunch of people said thank you, so I'm saying you're welcome. I like that some people said they like the graphics and they're cheering for Joe. DJ KDJ, you're welcome. Thanks, Media Obsolete. And the moderators and everybody else there, bye. Beamer says bye. A bunch of you say bye. Okay, so I'm going to end this right now. And look, when I end it, you're going to see the fancy ending graphic we can use now that Joe created. He did such a wonderful job. So that's it for now at Right Side Broadcasting. If there's more breaking news, we'll come on the air this weekend. Hope you have a great rest of your Saturday night and Sunday. And we will see you very, very soon. But for now, have a great night, everyone.